right. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see peace and blessings, Brother Twin. We got Brother Twin in the house. First up, first up. Welcome back, Doc. You've been gone for a while.
Glad to be back, brother. Glad to be back. Can't express it. You know, ain't nothing like it. Was it 7 days, 7 days without no power? You know, so can't even express it, man. How hot it was here, man. It was scorching hot. You know. So yeah.
Well, we're definitely glad to have you back. We got Earth Angel 1105 remix in the house. Peace and blessings. Twin
Pyramid. Yeah, I viewed the show about who was it? George Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Earth Angel, acting up. With them quotes, Brother Isaiah. They treating the brother bad today.
We got Mr. Adolphe in the house. Peace and blessings, bro. We're glad you're with us. Twin says he's driving right now, and peace to everybody. Well, you be careful driving, big bro. You keep it careful. You keep it careful. Be safe out there. All right. So let's see, Doc. We've been gone so long. We didn't have a chance to talk about your former president getting shot. Your buddy, looked like he was about to take one for the country.
I mean, man, look here. If I'm a person who doesn't believe that people change unless they have a life-changing incident. Something has to happen where you go ahead and you say, okay, yeah, I'm gonna mend my way, like you Saul, and you on the Damascus road, and you gonna change your ways. Almost getting hit in the head didn't cause no change for that rascal. He is who he is. He is his daddy's son for sure. Yeah, man. I all I could think of was my best friend, his father. We were having this conversation in college, and somehow we got to talking about the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan. And he said, man, they missed that motherfucker. And that, that's the one thing that just kept popping in my head. I was like, I know, and you kind of don't want to get that bad juju on you, of celebrating or wishing another person's death. But, if it was real, okay, that was a hell of a moment right there, boy. Hell of a moment. I believe if that had happened to me, man, I'd go become a Catholic priest. Or be up in Tibet, become something religious, because the Lord almost brought me home. So, but the whole thing of this whole debacle, that neither political party could find a candidate that was suitable. Joe was too old to do it. Now Trump is going to have to answer those questions. You're just old, and there comes a time where just out of just consideration for human life, for the gift of life, then go ahead and you live your last years doing whatever you want to do. And this can't be what you want to do. You got money as long as train smoke. And you're going to invite problems in? Man, look here, let me get on the plus side of the ledger. I'm out. Okay? I'm out. They'd have doctors running tests on me. They'd be like, man, we ain't never seen nobody this lazy in our life. I ain't moving at all. So, it goes on, It just continues to go on. We'll see how it shake out.
Definitely. Definitely. Mr. Duffy says that, man, that was so fake. A gunshot to the ear with no stitches? Nah, I don't believe he got grazed.
Hey, hey, the Lord give up and the Lord take up. The Lord gave us such hope.
Yeah, definitely some strange things going on. We got Brother Mill with us today.
Emil, what's going on, brother?
Peace and blessings. We're glad that you're here. Welcome. We got Mac 285 in the house. Peace and blessings, Brother Mac. We're glad that you're here.
Man, forget Brother Matt. He's sitting over there with electricity. You know what I'm saying? If he had electricity, I know he had AC. You know, and here I'm over here in the energy corridor, sweating like I got caught stealing from the smokehouse on the Wilshaw plantation.
Oh boy,
Brother could have slid through with some Timmy chains or something. You know, could just threw it in my yard. It would have been appreciated. You know. Just get me what you was gonna get when you went. I ain't gonna problematize your order.
Most definitely. So Emil says that this was an inside job, fam, just like the so-called assassination of JFK. Yeah, this thing was definitely, oh boy, knowing that the shooter was on top of the building that was the police, quote unquote, headquarters. They inside the building. He on top of the building shooting. What kind of...
Hey. Shit happens, man. Shit happens. You know, they're like, yo, we had the inside of the building secured. Shit happens, man. You know, life is funny, man. I don't put anything past anybody, anything to happen, man. It's just, like Huey P. Newton said, it might be a good picture show, might be a bad picture show, but it's gonna be a picture show. And that's really what you have to learn to laugh, because that's a level, if that's true, that's a level of ineptitude that means that we need to come up with a new term to counterbalance these attacks on DEI. What the hell do you call these people who got hired to do those positions? Did you see the one Secret Service girl who couldn't get a gun back in a holster?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, baby, you can get 2 rounds. You can't even see your waist no more. You can't even see your gun, and you supposed to be protecting me? Nah. I'm gonna have to. If I'm gonna have a security detail, and there's gonna be some females involved, I want. You know who I want? I want China. From the WWE, give me China. If they can't take China down, they can't work for me.
Wow. Earth Angel says, well, sometimes we get what we put out.
You ain't lying.
That's very interesting because the black Republican, I forget his name, I think he's from North Carolina or South Carolina.
Tim Scott.
No, not that one.
Tim Scott?
No, not Tim Scott. The big fat one. He's a lieutenant governor. Yeah, he's a lieutenant governor. He was in the white church talking about we need to have people killed. They don't agree with us. We need to have them killed. Yeah. He was one of Trump's spokespersons. Uh-huh. Yeah, he was talking, and it's like, well, damn, nigga, you in the church and you talk about assassinating people, and when he said to assassinate the liberals, that's when the white ones start clapping their hands.
They're gonna pull him to the back, be like, whoa, you got to be a little more specific with your rhetoric, because some of these fools ain't got common sense. When you said people need to die, you got to tell them we didn't mean Trump.
Exactly. This thing is crazy. You know, Mr. Dolphin say, ain't it crazy that the shooter and his family is MAGA and he shot at the GOP nominee? That's what's strange.
Hey, see another episode from Bizarro World, and that's what we're really
Exactly.
looking at. It's Bizarro
Exactly.
World now, and when
Mhm.
you know, I try and tell people often, listen, I'm gonna save you some time. Quit trying to put logic on illogical people.
Mhm.
You
Exactly.
know, because 1 plus 1 in their world equals 82.
Mhm. Definitely. Definitely. You know, tonight we're going to talk about Sonia Massey uh,
Mm,
and, you know, her situation, um, her comment, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And police say, you better not, or I'm going to shoot you in your fucking face. And then power,
yeah,
power, power. Um, very, very disturbing, but it's nothing new.
nothing
It's
new.
nothing new. Uh,
But and the thing is that this is a cat. In education, we refer to it as passing the trash.
mm,
Okay, you got somebody up in here who might be, sleeping with the students, might be doing whatever immoral, maybe not quite illegal, but
mm,
immoral activity. And there's usually a deal that is struck that we will help you find another job. You leave here, we'll write a letter of recommendation for you. We will help you get placed, this and that. Okay. And they pass that trash. That's somebody else's problem now. This guy worked at what, 4 or 5 different law enforcement agencies?
mhm,
Yeah. They passed the trash. And the thing is that it's inexplicable that you could have people holding such important positions, and there is no central database for you to be able to determine where they've been and what their conduct has been previously. That has to stop, and that's not a bipartisan, that's not a Republican or Democratic issue,
no,
because the truth of the matter is that if that had been a black Republican woman, she would have still been struck down.
mhm,
This is a problem that, if not checked, it'll take us right back to what Malcolm said. I'm a good old country boy. It ain't never made me sad. It's always made me glad when the chickens come home to roost.
mhm,
As Earth Angel put it, what you put out is sometimes what you get back, and
exactly,
that's them.
exactly, definitely. And Brother Mill knows she did not survive. She died right there. I believe, you know, it maybe was a possibility that she could have survived if they would have rendered her aid right then and there. But no aid was rendered. The cop who did the shooting told the other cop, "Don't go get nothing." You know, she got shot in the head. She ain't gonna. She done. She through.
Done.
And you know, it's really interesting that. Well, before I go there, there's a thought that's been raveling in my mind from the last program that we did, where we were talking about. Uh, um, Scott, Dred Scott.
Okay.
Now, when the Supreme Court said that, you know, you're not a citizen,
Hmm.
you don't have no rights,
Just Tony.
right? So that became a law,
Hmm.
correct? That
Yeah.
that that became a law.
Yeah. That's the law of the land. Yeah. That Dred Scott, and by extension, you can put all black folk in there. That you have no rights. That a white man is bound to um, honor. You don't have, because when this nation was formed, when the United States Constitution was formed, you weren't thought about. You weren't considered. They weren't talking about you. Okay, and that's been one of the issues that really um, had to be worked out. because when you're talking about the initial introduction of Africans under British control, that first parcel that got here, they came in under a unique designation of half free. They were neither slave, they were neither free. And they were to be workers in the Jamestown colony. And these workers in the Jamestown colony they were in almost purgatory in regards to freedom or enslavement. And a part of their purgatory was that if they worked for you, they could sue. If you didn't pay them, they could sue. And they did sue. And they did win. So when you have the formation, and this is predating the formation of what we know as the United States of America, but with the formation of this nation, and you put out there the idea that all men are created equal, Jefferson's rhetoric, enslaved Africans seized on that and actually sued for their freedom and won. So you had, you have to have these moments of jurisprudence where some of the loopholes, it's like meritorious manumission, some of the loopholes are going to have to be closed down. And no, you can't go free that way, because in many ways the nation needs your labor, and doesn't want to pay for your labor. So when you get to Dred Scott's situation, clears up a lot of things. It's in many ways like the Homer A. Plessy decision that came down in 1896. Scott's owner took him to free territory. Shouldn't he be free then?
Right.
Because slavery is not recognized in that territory, but he was brought back to slave country. Now, was he re-enslaved? Because he went, back to there was no process to re-enslave. Mm-hmm. Okay. But the Supreme Court found that, he was re-enslaved. And it comes down to the idea of you don't have any rights, that you can't even run away from this. One of the more heartbreaking things this explains why you find a lot of black folk in Canada, that if you were to meet a beautiful woman and y'all get together and have children and what have you, and you come home one day from work and there she is packing her stuff up, getting ready to leave you. Now, of course, if you love this woman, baby, what's going on? What's going on? And then you find out that she's a fugitive slave. And just because she's come into free territory doesn't make her free. And the fact that a child's status follows the mother means those children that you have, that you love, that you adore, they're also slaves. And if kidnappers can find them, and all they got to do is take them to court. Because by this time, and we often, when we're talking about slavery, we often forget that there are multiple slaveries going on at different times in this nation. There comes a moment where you're not even, if you're black, and keep in mind, half-free people could sue. If you're black in the 19th century, you can't even speak in court. Can't even speak. The most infamous case of this is Solomon Northrop, the brother that 12 years a slave. Right. He's the most famous. They took him to court. He can't defend himself. The only defense that you have is if you travel in groups and y'all able to fight off slave catchers, or you have some benevolent white folk who are willing to come to court and vouch for who you are. Otherwise, you stand there in silence.
Doc, does when the word freedom, does the word freedom mean the same things to black people, white people, liberals, conservatives? Does it all mean the same?
No, not at all. Not at all. That's one of the things that when I talk to anyone and we begin to talk about whatever the topic, it ain't got to be politics, it doesn't have to be race. I always ask for clarity of what it is you're talking about. Because without a definition of exactly what it is that you're talking about, we can't have a productive conversation. If we're talking about Italian food, You need me to tell you if I'm talking about linguine, spaghetti, lasagna, what have you. You know, me generally saying, well, yeah, that Italian food is great. Well, what dish did you have, brother? What, what X, Y, and Z? If I'm talking to who's my brother, Mac, if I'm talking to him, I'm be like, yeah, man, I went and got some good chicken. He's gonna ask me, well, wait a minute, hold on, where was you at, Frenchie's? Where was you at? Did you go to the original Timmy Chan's, or where'd you get that, that chicken at? So words have meaning, and you have to define them to have a productive conversation. For some reason, and don't judge me behind this, but I was watching earlier today. I was watching Jesse Lee Peterson. Okay, don't ask me why. I was just watching the brother cracking up. Okay, and he had a woman on there who fashioned herself as a feminist, and Jesse Lee Peterson asked her, "So what is a feminist? What is feminism?" She didn't have a functional definition for it. And so, without that functional definition, what are we talking about? It's the same thing. It's the problem that we had in the 1960s um, until Stokely Carmichael and Charles V. Hamilton kind of pegged down what Black Power meant. Black Power was just something that Black folks said. Yeah, what we want is Black Power. Well, what does that mean? Are you talking about economic power, political power? What are you talking about? So freedom, it doesn't mean the same to everyone. Not at all. If you were to give wealthy white folk black freedom, and black freedom for most black folk would be home ownership and having $10,000 in the bank. You gave that to wealthy white folk, they kill themselves.
Wow, interesting. I want to take this time out to welcome Brother Willie Rivers to the program. Peace and blessings, Brother Willie. We're glad that you're here with us. So, would you say, Doc, that Black people's freedom is a technicality in America?
You have to explain that to me. What do you mean by a technicality?
Meaning that it's, yeah, you free, quote unquote, but you still gonna get your rights violated. You're still not gonna be treated as 100% the same treatment that another citizen would get. So you're free technically, but yet you're not going to live the enjoyment of that freedom.
Yeah, I agree with the spirit of what you're saying, but I wouldn't just, I would say several things about it. One of the things I would say is that all Black folk don't have the same level of freedom. It's just what it is. Big Crit, one of the greatest rappers on the scene today, Crit said, you act like you didn't know that being born Black and poor came at a cost. Okay. There's some levels of freedom and some access that people have and these are Black folk. Let's be very clear that if Orenthal James Simpson didn't have the money to get Johnny Cochran's slick talking ass to defend him, he'd have been in prison. He's forever, if not killed. Okay, right. He would have been in an orange jumpsuit standing there. So even within race, we're talking about capitalist America, and money gives you political influence. Connections give you political influence. We just had a situation where Sheila Jackson Lee died here in Houston. A lot of Black folk were like, "Oh, Sheila Jackson Lee." Man, look here, man. I won't. Out of respect for myself and my dignity, I won't say what I want to say about Sheila Jackson Lee. But Sheila Jackson Lee wrote a letter against me. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. She my child support situation was horrendous, where I paid from my main job, which was the main money I was paying, and they claim that their computers, the computer in Houston, don't communicate with the computer in San Antonio. I was working several side jobs as well, trying to stack up money. Well, they were taking 50% of my money, of my gross, in child support. I was paying at times, and I didn't even know it because I didn't even look at that account. I said that money would just go in there, and if I ever need it, it'll be there. I'll be able to get it. Well, that money, when I looked at it, 70% of that money was missing. Okay. And when you look at what I was paying child support, man, I was paying on average of 40 grand a year for about 4 years. Okay. My matter of fact, it was my child support enforcement officer who stepped in and went to the judge and showed the judge, and the judge was like, "Yo, I'm stopping this immediately. This is usury. I paid over 100 grand and some change extra. Was still 4 years to pay, and so he stopped it. Well, Sheila Jackson Lee wrote a letter on behalf of my ex, demanding that it be reinstated because she's a single black woman, and this is a black boy whose father has never been involved in his. Yeah, bruh.
Wow.
Okay. And so that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the idea of having some influence, having some, the this, and that. And not to sort of belittle black suffering and black poverty. You got to remember that within white America, within Asian America, especially within brown America, be without some money and see what happens.
Wow.
Because all white freedom ain't the same. All Asian freedom ain't the same. And Lord knows the indigenous population, their stuff is not the same either. And so you this idea of freedom, it's a loose concept that people want to just throw out there. Well, America's the land of the free. Yeah, if you got some money. If you ain't got no money, look here, if you ain't got no money, you can't even get on the bus. And that's what it comes down to. So your freedom is on a sliding scale that is in many ways determined by your economic resources.
So with that being the case, then at the end of the day, you're really not free at all.
I mean, if your definition of freedom is the ability to, and I think that everybody has their own definition of freedom, but if your definition of freedom is doing what you want, when you want, how you want it, how much you want to do it, nah, you ain't free. If you got bills, you're not free, and it's just what it comes down to. You're going to be compelled to go to that job and to work. So no, you're not free in that sense, not at all.
Can you what sense do you see black people are free in here?
I don't know if I would say that they're necessarily free, because you're a part of this system, a part of this machine, and there are things that you have to do to maintain your standard and your position within this capitalist system. It's just what it is. The old saying of new boss the same as the old boss still holds much weight. So when you're talking about being black and your different gradients of freedom, you're allowed to exist. You do have constitutional rights, but their application is going to be inconsistent and at times sparse. So every black person who's got any sense understands that at any moment of your day, your life can be extinguished by individuals who will not face any punishment or repercussions for what it is that they do. They're going to go home and often sleep very well as a result of what it is they've done, what evil they've done. So black folk in freedom, no, you're not free. The majority of us are impoverished. old people. Think about how many black folk we know who don't answer their phone.
Mm.
And they're not answering that phone for reasons of, I just want peace and quiet. Yeah, because them people calling you about that bill that you
Right.
got. And so it's your freedom is intertwined with your financial resources. And if you ain't got no money, you can't even begin to consider yourself to be free. And to be honest with you, even if you do have some money, all money's going to do is provide you options and also give you, it'll illuminate who you are as a person.
Mm.
Because if you were, like Dave Chappelle would do those skits about the brothers getting some money and they would become, the world's greatest crackhead and things like that. It just gives you choices and illuminates who you truly are. If you were frugal before you had money, you'll probably be more frugal after you get money. But
Mm.
if you had in your heart to be a spendthrift, you'll really do that when you get some money. You'll have nothing but Louis Vuitton suits and Coco Chanel bags, looking like a damn popo everywhere you go.
I want to look at Earth Angel's comment that she put up here, where she says that a white woman said to me about her twin nephews, both with cognitive disabilities. She says they live apart because they're toxic when they're together. And so she continues to say, I've concluded they're toxic when together. Um, this level of toxicity that comes, I don't know, should I call it an American thing or should I call it a white thing? But there's a level of deadly toxicity around them, especially when it comes to us. Um, and it's like we have to try and navigate through that toxicity, no matter whether it's coming from a police officer, no matter if it's coming from a school employee, a teacher, anywhere in the society. You can be in a situation where you're dealing with that toxicity. So much so that white folks have said that they don't want to put school shootings on the news any longer, because what it does when other white teens see it, it sparks something in them to go out and repeat it.
Yes. Copycat.
Yes. So understanding that is our reality, what has to be done to mitigate the toxicity, or can it even be mitigated?
No, not at all. It can't be mitigated. I mean, you live in America. You live within a capitalist dog eat dog nation where people are operating from a position of lack. The majority of Americans suffer or are at some variant of insomniacs. They can't even go to sleep. They can't even rest well. And you have people who are consistently and constantly on edge, and there's no other way of even being able to deal with them or to analyze them or what have you. I'll give you a perfect example that actually happened to me this week. I was gleeful. Like we talked previously, my car broke down. My electricity has been off. I've been hot as could be, and my safe place has been and probably always will be the gym. And so I go to the gym, planning on getting me a good workout in and what have you. And so I walk into the gym, take my stuff to the locker and what have you. and I find a bench that I thought was open. I didn't see, I truthfully, and maybe I'm wrong, but I didn't see anyone's stuff there. I didn't see, a water bottle, a towel, or anything there. Well, I just sat on the bench, and this brother came up, this, odd shaped brother who looked like he had just begun coming to the gym probably. And he says to me, he says, I'm trying to hold it down right here. Okay, blah, 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 blah. And I said, all right, cool. I grabbed my stuff and I moved to the next bench beside him. That wasn't enough. He kept talking. Okay, oh yeah, you gonna move when I tell you to move. And I'm like, what? I was like, nigga, if you don't shut the fuck up. Okay. And he's like, I'm getting ready to be lifting right here. And he was doing these little wrist curls or whatever. Okay, like you working on his forearms. And I said, man, you ain't even doing nothing. I said, you could get the same effect on your forearms if you went home and jacked off tonight. You ain't lifting no damn weight. And I said, let me move down here because we definitely ain't going to be lifting the same weights. And he's over there, working diligently with the 25s and the 35s, screaming and hollering and grunting and dropping them everywhere. And I'm at the other end doing, I was working with 75s. And he's just staring at me. And I'm like, and I'm not one that, I come from a long line of individuals who talk shit. And you can't talk shit to us and we don't say shit back. And staring at me is, to me, talking shit. And I told him, I said, man, look here, bro. This ain't what you want, number one. But number two, I'm going to give you some advice, okay? You can do all, because he went over there and was riding on a bike, stationary bike. I said, man, you can ride until the world ends. You'll never lose no weight on that stationary bike. Get your big ass over here and lift up some real weight. and the brother went and told the front desk, said that I was being mean or something. I work out at Planet Fitness, the no judgment place. They came over to talk to me about, well, we think you're judging. I said, I am judging. Shit, I ain't gonna lie. He's fat. So the thing is that you're dealing with, and one of the most illuminating moments that you can have is go travel around the globe with some other Americans and see how entitled and self-centered that they truly are. They truly believe not that Earth centers around the United States of America. They believe that every galaxy does as well. And that's something that you'll find it in other places, but you really find it within this nation, that we are selfish, we are entitled, we live like kings and queens. It's just what it is. How many Americans could get used to rolling blackouts? When I'm in Africa, the power's going to go out for 3-4 hours. It's just what it is. And one of the most humorous things about traveling other places, you expect hot water when you step in the shower.
Right.
Okay. Every place doesn't have automatic hot water. There are some hotels that you have your own little individual, it's probably about 2 to 3 gallons hot water heater. And if you try to go ahead and leave that on as you go about your day, plan on taking a shower when you get back, when you come back, you'll see they entered into your room and they've turned that hot water heater off. So now you got to go through the 2-hour process of letting the hot water heat up again. We live like kings and queens here in America. And it leads to a selfishness, an entitlement. And one of the most miraculous things about America is this selfishness, this self-centeredness, this greedy consumption. it infects even even poor folks in America, not just the rich and the elite.
Wow. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. What do you think is the hardest thing for Black people to learn about living in America? Or what is one of the main misconceptions that they have?
That you'll always be Black and you'll never be welcomed in. And collectivism is your only way forward. The truth of the matter is, I was listening to Claude Anderson, and Claude Anderson makes this very good point. He says, listen, within any capitalist society, you're going to have poverty, period. So the goal can't be the eradication and removal of poverty because you'll never do it. The goal has to be lessening poverty amongst Black folk, the Black colony. We have to start thinking collectivistically. If you're not thinking as a collective, as one unit, you're going to continue to lose in this game of life because everybody else is kind of working together because they realize it's in their best interest. And I guess a part of me would say that you say the hardest thing for them to learn. I think that the hardest thing is for Black folk to unlearn self-hatred because we have that in spades. We hate each other.
Definitely. Let's see. Emil says America has a sick, toxic culture of hookup culture that destroys relationships and objectifies women as sexual objects. It's sick.
Well, I think that I'd like to add a little addendum to that.
Okay.
That we're in a society now that's objectifying men as well, because women are articulating and acting and behaving as men. If you watch some of these god awful TikTok videos and what have you, and listen to what these women are saying and how they're talking about men are of no use and no utility. So many of them will flat out tell you, they will look in the camera and say, we do not need men, as if men are a burden. You got to remember, we had the sister who was talking about all Black boys should be killed at birth. I had a colleague who recently married who articulated that to me. She said, well, y'all always talking about single Black women, but who made them single Black women? She said, Black males and blah, blah, and she's going off and off and off. And I said, okay, that's cool. I said, so you believe that all Black boys should be aborted? And she said, yeah. I said, okay, well, when you get pregnant as a Black boy, hit me up so I come down there to the abortion clinic with you. And she looked, and I said, oh, not your Black boy. Not your Black male baby. So, yeah, it's on all sides. It's on all sides. We, because the women, there's a segment of women who are not demure, who are not feminine, who are not any of those things that have denoted a culture of women. And if a race can rise no higher than its woman, we in significant trouble.
Definitely. Wow. Well, we're going to get on into this video and deal with this and see what it is to learn from this situation, because there is definite things that we as a people must learn from Sonia Massey's death.
Execution.
Yeah, execution. Because it definitely did not have to happen. It should never have happened, but it did. And now we are dealing with the effects of it. I think that it was them moving quickly to have the cop arrested. He's still in jail. Do you think that was dealing more with justice or necessity?
I never use the word justice.
Okay.
First off, I think that institutions they operate to prolong their longevity. So I believe I would side with the latter. But when you're talking about the idea of justice, it's one of my kind of pet peeves intellectually is you're not trying to get justice. You can't get justice because justice would be her getting up out of that grave and him taking her place. That would be justice. So really, what you're talking about now is some semblance of maybe punishment, retribution, what have you, but it's far from justice.
Wow, excellent, excellent. Mac 285 says, "Imagine Doc in Sexy Red having a conversation." Boy, if I could be a fly on the wall to listen to that one.
Yeah. My booty hole brown. What kind of shit is that? Vaginal discharge. And then to see young black people running to surround them. Yeah, our problem is a cultural one.
Definitely. Well, we're going to get into this video. And so in the video, of course, she called the police because she heard noise outside of her house. So she called the police for them to come check out on it and see what was what. But you can tell from my looking at it that she was uncomfortable from the moment that she opened the door. And you know, Doc, I've seen it many times on different videos, but we're now calling the police on the police. You know, and that's crazy. That's really crazy. But we have gotten to a level where the people understand I gotta call somebody. I gotta call somebody. But unfortunately, you're calling the brother on their own brother, who normally covers up for their brothers. Do you think that we can get to a position where we don't call the cops, when we'll be able to call each other?
No, because we have a disassembled community, and we're calling the white man on our brothers and sisters, but we don't recognize them as brothers and sisters. So much is predicated upon the idea of relationships, you know. And you know, I got one of my neighbors who was upset because he just moved in downstairs from me, and he comes up and he knocks on my door and he says, "Hey man, did you just throw water on my baby, on my little girl? A bucket of water?" I'm like, huh? Why would I throw a bucket of water on you? And the girl is like, he's got two daughters. One is 1 year old and the other one is 2 years old. Okay. Brother is upset, right? And I'm like, why would I throw water on you? Well, man, it looked like it came from, you know, your balcony. I'm like, bro, no, I didn't throw water on you, you know. Okay. And I'm looking up over the banister up to the balcony. And I said to him, I said, look, it's water dripping off of the roof. And he was like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right. And just as he says, yeah, you're right, apparently the cleaning people, the maintenance people were up there removing debris from the storm. All this water comes rushing down, you know, like they had poured a bucket of water, hit him square in the head. Now, if we lived in a assembled community, he would, number one, known I wouldn't throw water on a 2-year-old black girl. That's number one. Number two, it's there's a understanding. One of my other neighbors, he had, somebody broke into his spot, and stole, and we know that it was the maintenance people here because they used the key to get in. They stole his TV and his PS5 or six, right? And he was like, "Yo, man, did you see somebody?" I said, "Nah, man, I'm just now. You see me walking up the stairs. I'm just getting here." He was like, "Man, they got me." Versus the relationship I have with one of my homeboys who lives around the corner. He's a truck driver. He's on the open road, and it's like, when I don't know why he keep ordering Amazon packages while he on the road, but he do. And he'll call me or he'll send me a text, be like, "Yo, I got a package in front of my door. Go get it before they get me." And that's the type of relationship and communication. Until you have that, until you know who your people are, you're part of a disassembled community. And she was calling the police because she thought it was somebody black probably out there,
Mm-hmm.
because that's probably all that lives around her.
Exactly. Well, let's get into the video. Let's see. And I'm going to move it up to the point where they are knocking at the door, because all of that is they're searching to see what's going on in the room.
There's a bike sitting back there. Where? On the back door. I don't know if it's hers. Oh, I'll tap it. Search warrant. $319 contact there. Still something to You want to try and call her 17 back here and let her know we're out front? I set up too. Yeah, phone ringing. You didn't see anybody out walking out like that? No, not when I came in. I didn't see anybody out there. I hear her phone ringing and she's using from the doors for us to open it. That, I think. Is it a ring doorbell? Yeah, it doesn't work though. Sheriff's office. Two houses down. Oh no, it's right here. Right. She was yelling inside. Supposed to hold on. You coming to the door or not? All right, hurry up. Go ahead. Sheriff's office. One you called.
I need down here, and I need to down here. Please don't hurt me.
Why would it hurt you? You called us.
Okay.
So what'd you hear?
Somebody.
Is this your car over here? Is this your car over here? Oh. That's not your black car in the driveway? Oh. Well, we checked the yard. We walked around the whole block. We didn't see anybody. Right? You know, we don't. We checked the whole area. There's nobody out walking around.
I know, y'all. I'm trying to get help, y'all. But
What do you need help with?
nothing. I just I don't know what to do.
Do with what? What do you need help with?
Nothing. I just wanted to see if I could help them.
What do you want help with? What do you want help with?
I heard somebody outside.
Yeah, we checked your house. We checked your backyard. I walked all the way through all these backyards. We checked your front yard. We didn't see nobody. So nobody's out here.
You didn't see anybody.
No. Nope. Check the whole area. It took you so long to answer the door.
Oh, I was trying to put on some clothes, sir. I'm sorry. I was trying to get
I got you. All right. Is there anything?
All right, so Doc, you see this is the interaction. Now, I'm going to ask you, you're not a cop, you've never been a cop, but if you were the cop on scene and, you know, she comes to the door and she's having a conversation with that cop, but you're the second cop, you know, what would you be thinking right now about the way the conversation is going and her answers that she's giving?
That there would probably be some significant uncertainty for her. She doesn't feel safe. And I think that her level of fear and not feeling safe predates the arrival of the officers, all the way down to, you know, and it ties directly back to the idea of a disassembled community, that she doesn't have anyone that she can call, not a neighbor or what have you, who can look out their window. You know, take a look out your back window. You see anybody in my backyard? You know, or, you know, will you send that boy over here so he can walk around my yard, see if there's somebody out here? She's frightened, and she's living in a community that she's probably, that her fears are legitimate. I'll say it that way. And then to have him banging on the door, basically saying, you know, you need to get your black ass out here and answer this. He's not there to serve. He's not there to serve this woman. You know, she is a bother to him, and it in many ways takes me back to the idea of the utility and the need for community policing. Because if you have community policing, they would know her, and they would be able to say, well, you know, this is a woman who has some dementia going on, has some irrational fears going on. So you're going to have to deal with her, you know, this type of way. You know, it takes us back to the Black Lives Matter. The slogan was wrong. They got that part wrong. The idea of defunding the police. It should have been fund social or mental health workers to work in conjunction with the police. So, you know, so much of what happens between people, you know, this guy is entering in what I call Act 8, Scene 32. He doesn't know what has happened prior to him coming to that door. And his best course of action would have probably been to check that house, let her know that there's no one out there. But if she does hear something, call us back and leave. Because she doesn't appear a danger to herself or anyone else. But she also doesn't appear to be the most rational and stable individual either. And that chasm is going to be very wide for a white male dealing with a poor black woman who probably ain't got nothing but Jesus to rely on her side.
And do you think it's significant that she's consistently saying, please God, help me, please God, please God.
Yeah. Well, certainly. I mean, that's her source of power.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's relying on the unchanging hand of the Lord. And unless you understand that, nothing that is getting ready to happen is going to make any sense to you, and could very well, from your perspective, from your prism, be a sign, a trigger that you're in danger.
Mm.
You know, I remember hearing a story from someone who talked about the police had been called on their brother, and they were trying to get him, you know, out of the house, and it was a big rigmarole. And they started, they were Church of God in Christ people. They started praying and speaking in tongues, and the Kojic people, they get to running victory laps and diving over stuff. And one of the officers, you know, their actions and their antics caused him to pull his gun out.
Mm.
And fortunately, there was another officer who was there who was able to explain it to him. Said, no, that's not what they're doing. They're speaking in tongues. They're calling upon their God and things like that. So there's a lot of room for error and misunderstanding when you're not from the same socioeconomic class, and definitely community and faith-based initiative.
Mm. Wow, that's it. All right, we're going to continue the video.
Anything else we can do for you? Is there anything else I can do for you?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. You doing all right mentally?
Yes.
Sure?
My medicine.
All right. Okay. All right. That's not your black car, though. SUV? Whose is it? You don't know? Someone just parked it in your driveway?
They brought it to my driveway.
You just left it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's run that. Yeah. 1926.
Anyone else living with me?
David Mary 43556.
You got a name? You got your phone? What's your name real quick? Catch this. So you spoke to.
Simple.
Okay, stop it. Because it seems to me, Doc, that the encounter was actually over, and then he extended it. Do you get that same type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing is that he's already gone around the house and there's nothing there. And you had a clear exit. You got a clear path to exit. I mean, you don't ask that question, are you mentally okay? If you're not thinking, well, something right here probably ain't right. There comes a moment where you have to make a judgment call and sort of extricate yourself from harm's way.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. You know, Earth Angel says that at this moment he decided to take her life. I definitely believe at that moment, because it was clear it was over and done.
Yes.
But he extended it. He wanted more out of it. I don't know to say that he knew he was gonna kill her, but he's looking, to me, he was looking for something else. He wasn't.
I mean, I mean, it's what more is there? You know, you were called there to check around the house. You checked around the house. You checked on her. You've spoken to her. You have a very strong suspicion that there may be some cognitive issues going on. Okay, if you need us again, call us back.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Okay, so you know you've hung around too long. You hung around too long because she's not thinking the way that you're thinking.
Definitely. Let's continue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the sheriff department here, but I was coming for help from y'all. They're here in my house right now. No, hold on, wait a second, sir.
You can hang up, Conroy. It's good.
No, hold on, okay? Just 1 second, okay?
What's up?
Now, there where she was talking with the dispatch and trying to keep the dispatch on the phone, and the cop is telling the dispatch, hang up. And then it also sounded to me as if the dispatch really didn't give a damn about her one way or another. The police is there. What are you wasting my time for?
Well, I mean, the question becomes: let's be fair. What could the dispatch do? The dispatch, what they do is dispatch officers to the scene. So my job, anything I could do, has already been accomplished.
But don't you think that because she was telling him, no, don't go, I want you to hang on to the phone, and even though the officers were there, that should have let the dispatch know that she's not feeling comfortable. That even he got the officers telling them hang up, but she's saying no, no.
How many people call the police that feel comfortable? They call 911 that feel comfortable. So this is a probably a very mild call for the dispatch. Officers are on the scene; they're taking care of it. But she's clearly, one of the things I just fervently believe. Look at how a person lives. If they're living in such a disorganized manner, that's a sign of a lot of things. And you can see that her house is in many ways a wreck.
Right.
He should pick up on that. And he should say, okay, this is a woman that has probably some limited, some limits on how she lives her life and things like that. If he had any sense, he would be trying to leave that situation by any means necessary. But for whatever reason it is, and only he can explain what he's thinking. He might have convinced himself that no, I can't leave her like this. She's fine. At least she's alive. No one has broken in. Okay, it's time for you to go and resume your patrol somewhere else. If you need us again, just call dispatch, because you're clearly able to do that.
Now, at this point right here, I do agree with Earth Angel at this point when she says that's when he went into the house. He wanted to hurt her at this time. And I say that simply because she's telling dispatch, don't hang up, don't hang up. He's telling dispatch, go ahead, hang up. Is go ahead, hang up. We don't need you. And to me, that should never have happened. If she felt comfortable with dispatch still on the phone, then let him be on the phone.
Yes. Yes. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely correct. Whatever needed, especially when you've asked someone, are you okay mentally? And they express to you something that makes them comfortable, you don't take that away from them. You let them have that. And you're supposed to be the one that is quote unquote in your right mind. So you got to figure this thing out. How do you get up out of here?
Exactly. Let's see, Emil says, Doc, you seem to have some experience on psychology and mental health. Does hoarding indicate a form of mental illness? I have hoarding tendencies and would just like to get your insight.
No, I have no background in psychology or mental health. It's just dealing with family members and different people, relationships, and what have you. And I'll say it this way: my sister and her kids. My God, they got it. And my dad, they hoarders. They deny it, but I believe they're hoarders. Me, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. Okay, everything has to be nice and neat for me. If you've ever seen Denzel Washington's The Equalizer, that's what I'm like. You know, I'll work in patterns. I'll have 4 cups. I'll have 4 plates. I have, so I can't say if it's a sign of mental illness. I attribute it to, honestly, a sign that you're living too busy of a life, that you can't even take time out to organize yourself and the things around you. But whatever works for you works for you.
Definitely. And I know for myself, I like keep things in order, neat, and where it's supposed to be.
Everything has a place.
Exactly. But if you ever see my desk or my dresser and it's a mess and things is everywhere, then that's a condition of what's going on mentally.
I'm not
And
doing well.
my thoughts are not, I got
Yep.
so much going on. And, I need to get there to be able to fix what needs to be done.
Well, certainly.
He also says, my car is just like this woman's house, LOL. The back trunk of my car is almost blocked to where I had to look really careful at my blind spots when driving. That's very dangerous to be driving like that. You got to be able to see out your windows, bro.
And see, my thing, the question I would ask, Brother Emil, is simply this: the stuff that's in the back of your car, are you using it? And do you need it? Because obviously, from what you just said, I don't think you're using it. And if you're not using it, that means you're living life in a way that you don't need it. Pause for a moment and straighten it out. So one of the things that you'll notice if you look at people, they're not disorganized just in one part of their lives. They're disorganized in all the way across the board. Look inside of people's cars when you go to the mall or to the grocery store and see what you see. Mm. See, yeah, Earth Angel, yeah. I already knew you was. I knew that. I ain't want to say nothing about it, but I already knew you got that vibe.
All right, we gonna go ahead with the video.
I got some paperwork. Can you grab that Bible, please?
Yeah. Hey, I just need your name so we can get out of here. Was there any damage previous to your car?
Previous, yeah.
Okay, what was the damage?
A dent, I believe.
But what about windows?
Oh, it was something that happened earlier.
Okay, perfect. What is your last name? Shouldn't have to think about your last name. You're not in trouble. I just need to attach.
Massey.
Massey. You have an ID? That'd make things so much easier. I just need just driver's license will do, and I'll get out of your hair.
I want to show y'all my paperwork.
I will get your paperwork.
What paperwork?
Okay. I got some paperwork.
Well, just get your ID.
Well, let's get your ID first, and then
one task at a time here.
Okay.
Here, grab your ID for me.
Okay.
Your ID, one task at a time. So let's do an ID, and then you can dig around for your paperwork.
Doc, let me ask you, because this is one thing that seems strange. You always hear them talk about officer safety. She's digging in bags. They don't know what's in bags, but they look very confident and secure, like, they ain't worrying about officer safety. That's not something that's even on the agenda. What's your thoughts?
I'm seeing the same thing that you're seeing. I'm seeing a lot of unnecessary things that almost as if they're going through a trial run. Well, let us get your ID so we can run this, and who does the car belong to? Because that car could come up as as stolen, and this is overkill. They don't have anything else to do. Um, but yeah, the reaching in bags, and you don't know what a person's pulling out of a bag if you're truly um, concerned with your safety. You just
Mm-hmm.
don't know. So I agree with you, but she made the request of, could you pass me that Bible?
Mm-hmm.
And now if you're reading the room and the cues that are there, this is a woman who I I hesitate to say that she's not well psychologically, but what I will say is that she's heavily relying on her faith, and
Very.
that's a metaphysical realm that doesn't make sense to anyone but the people who are steeply involved in it.
Mm. Excellent point. Excellent point. And so let me, because you talked about community policing earlier,
Mhm.
and so the community policing idea, would they have to have either either going to the church or a church like that she's going in, or how does that part fit into the community policing?
The idea of community policing is that you have officers who are living within the community, and so your children go to school with these people.
Okay.
Okay, you go to church, you worship with these people, this and that, and it creates a situation like right here. You would already know that car belongs to her trifling daughter. Okay, and this is the story behind, because she always into it with Daryl, so she didn't brought that car over here to hide that car. That this is a harmless lady. I'll give you a personal example of it's as close to community policing as my town had. My uncles, who were always involved in some nefarious operation, one of my uncles got a job as a truck driver. He was a semi driver, and he got a load of furniture.
Mhm.
And so my uncles, being criminal minded, they took that truck and parked it in the alley behind my grandmother's house and unloaded some furniture. They used the second floor of my grandmother's house as a showroom. Okay, and let it be known within the community that they was letting furniture go for the low. So when you come up there, you walk through there like it was literally a furniture store. Okay,
Wow.
well, of course the people had wanted to know where their truck was at and this and that, so they went to my grandmother's house. They called the police. They go to my grandmother's house. There were several white officers and there was one black officer, and the black officer was actually my father's cousin by marriage.
Mm.
um, and you go upstairs and you see all the furniture there, you see the truck in the back, they didn't did it. They were arresting everyone, including my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And my dad's cousin was like, man, take them cuffs off of her. She don't go upstairs. She don't know what these fools doing. And that's what saved her from going to jail. Okay,
Wow.
a pre-existing relationship. The officers who were not, who didn't know, our people, so they was gonna take my grandmother straight to jail. Okay, along with her boys, as she referred to them consistently. So you're dealing with, there are some moments where um you got to just let something ride, because you recognize that somebody having it, someone put it in the comments, they having a moment.
Mm.
So and so get drunk on Friday and Saturday night, and he gonna act a fool. He gonna be in the middle of the street screaming and hollering about something that happened 17 years ago. Now, if you live in that community, you're like, man, that ain't nobody but Danny doing, boom, 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 boom. Leave him alone. He ain't gonna hurt nobody. Versus if you have what I term stormtroopers who are rushing in, and he's being disorderly, and he's this and they're going to do something just like what they're doing right here. They should not, and I'm going to talk about it from a position of their self-preservation as far as their life and also their careers. They should have never put themselves in this situation by going in that house. They should have been at the door and said, listen, if you need us again, call us. Because the longer, it's like anything else, the longer that you're engaged with somebody, you're increasing the chances of a misunderstanding. When you have someone that you think is not, when you hear someone who you think is having some issues mentally, why extend your interactions with them? What good could come out of this?
Exactly. I was reading a pharmacy newsletter where they were talking about now having LSD, drugs that make you hallucinate and all that. Start giving those to people. And it's like, well, wait a minute. You're going to give that kind of drug to a person that's on ADHD, a person that's dealing with depression, a person that, may be a little off. You're going to give them medication that's going to have them hallucinating and really expect that this shit is going to cure them? You creating a bigger problem on top of a damn problem. And it seems as though this thing, it's on a fast track to become reality in different homes in America. And I'm really worried about what it will do to homes that Black people are in. And they're giving their children now, the adults, they're giving them this psychological medication that's going to make you hallucinate. And you really think it's going to produce something that is good, something that is right, something that's going to help and cure them. That's just not going to happen. I don't have their degrees, but goddamn, I know that's not going to produce not a damn thing that's going to be good. But this is coming down the pike. That this is what's really about to happen, and they're going to be prescribing this foolishness. And it to me, Doc, it's going to be like a real bloodbath. I can really understand that this is going to be a bloodbath, and it has to be part of their agenda in the beginning. It cannot be that they don't understand. They clearly understand. They clearly know what you're doing. It ain't going to produce no good. But they're on a fast track to make this thing happen. And we definitely have to get control of these medications that we're giving our children, that we're giving our people. There's nothing good that's going to come about that. It's just not. It's just not. We got to wake up and understand the realities. And when you look, when they did this opioid thing, they knew what the shit was going to do. When it was not a doctor that came up with the term long-term pain. That wasn't a doctor. That was the damn pharmaceutical companies that came up with it. It's just the same thing as these pharmaceuticals that came up with the term long-term COVID. You're gonna be feeling this for the long term to keep the money thing going. And if we don't wake up to it, hey, it's going to be some bad time. Mm-hmm. Mr. Dofi say psychedelics are the new cannabis. If they get the dose right, they'll help the brain. LSD only makes you trip when you have too much and you're not in your right mind. Get a low dose, you chill out. Well, I don't think that giving them any psychedelics is going to do. I believe cannabis will do the job enough without adding stuff to it. There's already been studies that shown, you can take people that's twitching and all of that, and you give them the cannabis, and it levels them out. They don't do none of the twitching and all of that. You don't have to go to the psychedelics. You're going too far, because who controls hallucinate? When you're hallucinating, you think this shit reality. And it ain't gotta be reality. That's a problem that we just don't really need. We don't really need it, but it's coming, and it's coming on a truckload, and it's coming fast. It's coming fast.
Because there's money in it.
Exactly. Big money. And we'll pick up with the video.
I don't know where my ID is.
You have that stack right there, maybe?
One second.
Check on her.
Let me get this.
We don't need a fire while we're here.
Right. Let me see. Okay.
Huh? Away from your hot steaming water.
In the water?
Yeah.
Oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Huh?
I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
I swear to God, I'll shoot you in the face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the pot! Drop the pot! Drop the pot! 19 shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Drop the pot!
Now, we see she gets up, because they tell her, you get up and get this pot before it cause a fire of water. She gets a little hand thing and picks the pot up and takes it over there to do it. Now, when she asks him, well, why do you leave? And he says, well, I don't want to get, wet with no hot boiling water or anything like that. Then she says, well, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Then the cop who did the shooting says, you better not. You better not. Pulls out the gun. She says, I'm sorry. Boom, 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 boom. I still didn't see no threat to the police officer.
He manufactured that threat. His mind went to, she's getting ready to fling this on me, because she has some boiling water in her hands. She's getting ready to throw it on me. She's getting ready to hurl it at me. That's his, you better not. It is blatant murder. We just watched a murder occur right in front of us.
And do you think that there was a miscommunication from what she was saying to what he interpreted?
I will say that I don't believe that for 1 second that a reasonable person would have interpreted her going over to take that pot off to being a threat. Like I said from the very beginning, she was, you can tell she's religious, faith-based, and he's not. And there has to be a part of him that honestly doesn't mind killing a black person. But provided the opportunity, they will walk through that door and do it. Because he's been let go from several other positions for God knows what reason, and he doesn't. I don't mind losing this job because I can always go get another one in law enforcement. This is what I was born to do. This is what I love to do, and there is no punishment or repercussions for me when I do what it is that I do. He's unreasonable. He's short-sighted. He's devoid of common sense. You know, common sense. If he had a modicum of common sense, he wouldn't even be in our house. He would have left and said, "If you need us again, then call." That's common sense. That's but he doesn't have any of that, and he has no consideration or concern for her as a human being.
None.
Because if let's say she did intend to throw that water wouldn't have reached him.
No.
So it's blatant murder.
Now some have been calling for the other officer who didn't shoot for him to be disciplined as well. Did you see anything that would warrant for him to be disciplined in any manner?
From what I saw here, no. The danger with disciplining officers who have not done anything wrong is that you're setting up a precedent for officers to shy away from going to scenes and having any interaction whatsoever. That's a dangerous precedent. And many people may say, well, no, if you look at it from the standpoint of if you punish him because he was there, then that would encourage others to go ahead and do something. I see that perspective and what have you, but how could you intercede? He would have had to, in this situation, he would have had to have shot him in the head to keep him from killing her.
Wow. Very interesting. Very interesting. And for me watching it, and you let me know what you think. I think he only pulled his gun because the other cop pulled his gun.
Certainly.
But he never fired.
Certainly. But you have to remember training protocol, because maybe this officer in that instant, maybe this officer saw something that I didn't. So I have to back up my partner. Okay. Because whatever it is that caused him to pull his gun, I didn't see it. And you think about, I guess, the training that they would go through, these different scenarios of people jumping out, different things happening, how they teach you, well, you missed this, and that. Well, yeah, those are, it's possible to miss something. So you better pull your gun out right now instead of standing there. Because what if she had a gun? What if anyone had a gun and you're just standing there and didn't pull your gun out? Well, you ain't going home that day.
All right, so we'll continue with the video.
Bring emails now. We got a headshot wound to the female. Headshot wound to the female, 1078.
I was on. I'm gonna go get my kit.
No, headshot, dude. You're done. You can go get it, but that's a headshot. God. Dude, I'm not taking boiling water in the head. And look, it's getting right to our feet, too. God.
God.
You good?
I'm good. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. What's her go? Let her. God, is that what you do, man? You good? All right. Well, I mean, what else do we do? I'm not taking hot boiling water to the face, and it already reeked us.
They got a 52 in route.
Yeah. She's still breathing, but she's losing a lot of blood from the head. I'll go get my med kit.
Go get hurry, get your med kit.
I mean, there's not much we can do.
We can at least try and stop the blood.
Now, the one that left out to go get the med kit was the one that told the one that's still in there not to go get his because he done shot her in the face. What did you think about that, Doc? When you see the aftermath of them going back and forth and walking around and just standing around, I mean,
it communicates not caring. On the one hand, because when he says, "Well, what could we have done? I'm not going to take a hot water to the face." And then, but it also communicates something else that I think needs to be examined, and it is a inability to identify something that needs to be done, life-saving treatment, and then the execution of that decision. Because these two idiots, they need a supervisor there to be able to tell them what it is they should have done. And that's a scary thought when you consider that means that we have individuals who are walking around our communities who do not know who we are, okay, know nothing about us, who are undisciplined, scatterbrained, and unable to think for themselves. That's frightening.
very, very, very frightening. Very. Continue with the video.
Come on. Where's he at? Come on. She's still gasping a little bit. You got anything else? You want to hand me another rag up there? Up there, to your right. Right there.
Anything you can do there? All right. I'm not even wasting that stuff in. You want to run down real quick?
Nope, not yet.
Right. House is clear. She was the only one.
Where's the gun?
No, she had boiling water came at the boiling water.
You shot her?
Yeah. She said she was going to rebuke me in the name of Jesus and came out with boiling water. That's what all this is. I'm standing right here.
All right.
That's where he's going to be.
What do you need from us?
Just nothing right now. Just hang out.
I need
Now, Doc, the supervisor's there and said, "Well, where's the gun?" He says, "There ain't no gun." She said she's going to rebuke me in the name of Jesus and came after me with the pot of water. Shouldn't the other cop should have spoke up and said, well, that's not actually right, or that's not actually factual, or something?
I guess you could say he should have, but I'll say it this way, that there's plenty of time to tell the story when the dealing's done. So hopefully he does step forward and do something, and say something for the sake of righteousness. In the heat of the moment, I wouldn't expect him to. I'll just say it that way. Especially if you rewind it and you go back and you look at the shooter, the murderer. He looks at him and he says, "You all right? You okay?" Which I guarantee you is their subculture code way of saying, "Yeah, you gonna ride with me, right?"
Wow. Brother Robert says something like that almost happened to me in November of 1990 when I was 11 years old by 2 white police officers. Take it from me, they are killing us on purpose. Well, we're definitely glad you made it through there, Brother Robert. And I definitely agree. They are killing us on purpose. Doc, when it brought back to my mind, remember when they shot the brother who was reaching for his ID? The cops was like, "Give me your ID." And he was reaching to get it. And next thing you know, pow, he shot him while he was in the car reaching. Castillo was his name. And his partner was on the pavement. And when the other cop started shooting, the partner pulled his gun out, but he started to run away,
Philando Castillo.
Yes, exactly. This whole motive of them killing, and as Brother Mill said, doing it on purpose. This is what they do, and they do it on purpose. We have to have a mindset that when we come in contact with them, we know that they are black people killers. One cop even told a white girl when she was nervous, and he was like, "What you nervous for?" And she was like, "Because y'all kill people." He said to her, "You ain't black. You ain't black. So in other words, you safe. You all right." What more will it take, or do you think that we're halfway there, where black people will begin to understand that these white cops, black cops, they will kill you and don't give a damn about it, that you gotta have more, be more alert of what it is that you're doing, you're saying when you come in contact with them? What more will it take?
There is no more. I mean, there's nothing beyond blatant murder caught on camera. You thought that the body cams would make them behave better? No, they utilize that information to walk home, so they can show you exactly why they killed you. I don't care if you're talking about Breonna Taylor, Eleanor Bumpers, whoever you want to talk about. It's been the same thing going on since arguably 1619. you know. And so you have to, and this is what the absence of community gets you, um, that you have no protection, you know. And the fact that a woman with some issues would have to resort to even calling them to come to look in on her, you know. We still have people who check in on the sick, check in on the elderly to make sure they're all right? Is that still a thing within our community?
Mhm.
You know, do we still have a community? I was a couple days ago, was sitting at a light, and you had two young brothers. They looked like they might have been 9, 10 years old. They had went and got a bucket, filled it with water, and probably stole the little squeegee thing from the gas station. And they were coming up to people's cars, you know, just trying to do anything to get some change, to get some. I see that, and I'm like, yo, nah, you know, I want to encourage these young brothers. And so we ended up pulling the car into a parking lot that was right next to them, blew the horn for them to come over. So they come over, and they're kids, you know. And the one was like, yeah, I'm out here, I'm trying to get some money because I you know, I got to give my mom some money. She don't have no money right now. And I gave them $20. Okay. I hope that didn't rob them of their hustle for that day. But them brothers took their two young brothers took their $20, and we saw them cross the street and go into the gas station. And she was like, "Oh, they're gonna take that over there, you know, and buy them something cool to drink, you know." And I'm like, "Well, if that's what they're gonna do, then that's, you know, they deserve that. They out here working in this heat, trying to hustle up something, you know." We have to have that community again, you know, of you know, we. And the sad part for me, and I take it back to my interaction with that brother in the gym. um we don't even greet each other anymore, you know. And you're just like, how do you not greet your own? How do you know, you get what I'm saying? And it communicates so much that about how we, you know, it's the Boyce's thing when he says it is a peculiar sensation to view oneself through the eyes of another. Black folk are far too frequently viewing themselves through the lens and the eyes of white folk. And if you're doing that, Lord knows you're gonna look at us as being worthless and unworthy of even a head nod, a smile, what have you. You know, we've declared a similar war on each other in the same as that white folk have declared it on us.
Wow. Doc, the community policing, is that something that we have to push? That's something that we have to want? Or is that something that has to be bestowed upon us?
That's something you got to push, something you got to want. It's like anything else. You know, you know, they wanted police officers, you know, these stormtroopers to come up into our community, you know, and they organized, they pushed it, and that's the rule of law. You do the exact same thing. You organize, and you make that happen. That if you're going to be policing over here, you got to live within this area. You're going to have to fight the police union for that. You're going to have to do a whole lot of things, but you can get some brothers, you know, and get them prepped up for the police exam. And in many ways, that might be the best chance, maybe the only chance that you got to have your you know, employing black folk, and to have your own community up and running. You know, because this idea of separating from white folk, you know, they're gonna fight you tooth and nail for that. You know, so with what we got right now, yeah, community policing, and we got 30 brothers who can pass the police exam, meaning they can pass their drug test. They can, you know, they've been prepped for it, and because they're going to use all those as excuses to keep you out. And if when you're able to do that, you know, because it's not a if, it's a when and how they police their community. And they know these people. They know who's dangerous, who's not. They know who belongs there and who doesn't.
Now, Doc, but let me ask you, because there becomes a new problem. When we get our people on the police force, then that creates a problem, because now they have to deny their blackness so that they can take that blueness.
They don't have to deny that. They don't have to deny their blackness. I think that one of the things that we often fail to realize is quite simply one of the things that causes you to conform to evildoers is when you're the only righteous one there. So if you got 30 brothers who are patrolling the south side of the city, they can rely upon each other. They can band together with each other. And you can rest assured that evildoers are not going to want to be patrolling over there.
And you don't think that
I think that some of them will become the boys in blue, but if you have a critical mass of individuals, they don't necessarily have to. And I'm talking about basically a black police department patrolling a black area of town. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about community policing. I'm not talking about integrating black and white. I mean, just imagine Cassie Land, what her police force would look like. That's what I'm talking about. And you don't need any annexation from the city X, Y, and Z. You come up with a strategy. And you know we have American cities that have black mayors in it, black council, city council people, and what have you. This is about forging a community, because there's some things like what brother Robert is talking about right now, which should make us, we should be up in arms about it. And in many ways we are up in arms about it, but we're reactionary. We need to go ahead and build out what it is that we want to see done within our communities. You need to build out what type of educational curriculum. You need to build out who's going to cook the fried chicken in your community. Those are all political decisions. Those decisions matter. But until you're able to wash clean the brains of black folk in regards to looking at blackness being inferior, you're not going to go anywhere, because we're still looking at the world through the eyes and the prism of white folk.
And Doc, how do you change that view? Being, I guess you would say a subjugated class. How can you see that view without seeing it through the view of white folks? When they feed you,
you stop eating at their trough. Public Enemy had a great song where Chuck is screaming, it might have been Flavor Flav, said, turn the radio off. Turn the radio off, turn the television off. Okay. Let's deal with each other one-on-one as humans. Okay. That's how you do it. You stop eating at their trough. We often, when we use the term diet, we're often talking about a weight loss diet or consumption of food. We need to really pay attention to what our intellectual diet is. What are you reading? What are you studying? What are you thinking about? If you're around here, you're looking at Amos and Andy and not Minister Farrakhan. Well, you're gonna have some humorous jokes that shit on black folk. But you can tell those who've listened to Malcolm. You can tell, as Sonia Sanchez said, when that little light came in, when you heard something that other folk don't want you to hear, it emboldens you, But all of it starts with the idea of knowing oneself and educating oneself.
Excellent. And that responsibility to educate ourselves and to know ourselves. Why do you do? Or let me put it to you this way. Do you think it's wise to disconnect us, blacks in America, from the continent of Africa?
Why? What do you mean? Why by wise to do that? Explain it.
Do you think that's a wise decision to disconnect from, the continent of Africa? Some say, shit, I ain't got nothing in Africa. I ain't never even been to Africa.
You know,
This is where I'm from right here in America. Fuck Africa.
I side with Dr. John Henry Clark, and Dr. Clark says quite simply, you'll never be free unless Africa's free. Okay. The problem with that is that we can't approach association with Africa naively and fail to realize, because when you really think about it, it's damn near impossible for diasporic Africans to get along with continental Africans. Because here you have a black man who's been educated by a Mongolized populace of Europeans, trying to get along with Africans who have been educated by the French, the British, this and that. Neither one of you are in your right minds. And so you have a distrust, you have an anger. Marcus Mosiah Garvey was great in talking about these types of things. That quite simply what we're really talking about is quite simply, you're African first and last. And until you get that, we're not going to go anywhere. Because in this world that we live in, it's about numbers and collectivism. And the moment that you understand that you are connected to Africa and Africa is connected to you, will be the moment that you go from being a global minority to the global majority. And think about how your movement and your actions and even your thinking and strategizing changes when you're the majority. But as long as you're here on the North American continent talking about I ain't got nothing in common with no damn Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Brazilians, Belizeans, you're never going to get out this fix. Because poverty is going to sit in somebody's home. And we need to collectivize, we need to strategize and be collectivist minded to ensure that it's not sitting in too many black homes. Because this idea of racism has nothing to do with somebody not liking you. Racism is about the monopolizing of resources. So get over your shit about how you don't like somebody and what have you, and realize that, you can put yourself in a situation where you can eat and they can eat. But it's going to take y'all to be able to, y'all going to have to grow up so that you can both work together and make this happen.
All right. Excellent. We are at our time. So, Doctor, we're going to go ahead and move to our closing comments.
Go ahead.
And I was just going to say to Brother Robert Epps, I can imagine that his situation, was mind altering. Because when you're in a situation with those demons and you know that they would love to kill you, it is a situation. Dr. Mill says, do you have plans to move to Africa?
On Sunday, I'm getting ready to go to Belize, and it's more of a trip to look at where I want to go long term in retirement, where I want to settle at. I know I don't want to be in a continental U.S., and I know I want to be someplace where people of color are the majority. So my favorite place my second favorite place on planet Earth is actually the Cape Coast of Ghana. So that's an option as well. So I know about Ghana. I'm getting ready to go to Belize. Eventually, I'm going to hit Brazil and Argentina as well, and then make a decision on where I'm going.
Definitely. Doc, here's a question, and maybe you can answer it. Before the African got to Haiti, there were black people there. There were black Haitians there.
Hmm?
What happened to them? What happened to the original Haitian, the original Jamaican, the original, wherever we were in the Caribbean? What happened to the original? Did they just kill them
Well,
off?
I can tell you for sure that dealing with Jamaica, one of the more ghastly things that I came across were these letters of complaint in the newspaper, where they were complaining. These are white women who are wealthy. They are plantation owners' wives, and they were basically saying that the stench, that we got to do something about the stench, because and turns out what the stench was the bodies of African slaves who had been killed. They literally worked them to death throughout the Caribbean because they were able to get more to come in so easily. So to be able, I can't give you a historical answer for what happened to those indigenous people, but I will say that I know once the transatlantic slave trade began, that these people were literally worked to death. If you made it to your early 20s as a man in Jamaica, you were an old man. Okay.
Wow, excellent, excellent. So, for you within your closing comments, could you address what you would address to single black women when it comes to calling the police?
Oh, um, once again, I'm happy to be back, and I won't be here next week because I'm going to Belize. But what I would say to single black women: make the police not your first option. Cultivate relationships with black men, be it a father, a grandfather, a brother, an uncle, what have you, who can serve as a sort of a protective force around you. But what I would warn you with is quite simply to behave and conduct oneself in a way that you're not booking fights for the men that you love, to show up and be killed and be murdered by other black men and what have you. As a community, we can definitely address what it is that is occurring within our community without law enforcement officers being brought in. But it's a very delicate and wicked dance between black women and black men that we need to adhere to. Black men need to do their part, and black women need to do their part as well. We need to learn how to love each other, appreciate each other, and enjoy each other's company. And I yield.
All right.
Love you all. Glad to be back.
Definitely, definitely. We thank everybody for joining us and hanging tight with us while we go over this video. It definitely hard to watch. Our sister being taken out in the manner that she was definitely didn't have to happen. Definitely did not have to happen. And I also want to say, for those who knew our brother Ozzy, Brother Ozzy has passed on. He was he was a good brother. I remember one occasion where I had to speak at George Washington University, and Brother Ozzy accompanied me there as my security for that event. And it was the first event where there were majority white folks in the audience. And but the topic was dealing with CPS and women losing their children to CPS. And I spoke in the manner in which I normally speak very passionately, very strongly. And to my surprise, it went over the crowd. And a white woman come up to me after the program, and Brother Ozzy standing right there, and she asked me to be her advocate to help her in her case. And I had to tell him, nah, we can't do that. these gifts that the God has given me are for the use, for the benefit of our people, Black people. And that's where it is. And also, so we wish peace on Brother Ozzy, his family. No, Emil, Brother Isaiah did not pass. I said, Brother Ozzy passed, not Isaiah. Isaiah is still living, breathing, and kicking. Even though the Dominican Republic is having an outbreak of what is it? He was telling me about it today. Anthrax. Yeah, Haiti had it, and now the Dominican Republic has it, and so they're on lockdown. And so I was asking him, did they close the airports? You know, because if they still got them damn airports opening, then you can best believe that stuff will be headed towards this way. But let's definitely keep Brother Isaiah and his family in our prayers to hope that they make it safely through this, because that ain't no joke. He sent me some pictures of what's going on, and it is not a pretty sight. It is not a pretty sight. So, you know, let's pray our brother strength and protection. And as we always say, you kill the nigga in you, I'm going to kill the nigga in me, and our God will reign supreme. We are Black first, today, tomorrow, and forever. Love you, family. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom.
So you better get the message and get it straight.
You're going to need some bridge work. It's simple as that.
Because we're living in judgment. We're living in implementation.
All right, Doc.
All right, my brother. All right. I will see you not this coming Friday, but next Friday.
All right, we'll be here. We'll be ready. You have a good time and you be safe over there.
Oh man, I'm gonna do my best, bro. Do my best. All right, man. Peace.
All right, peace.